We're joined now by Nora Dominic, TV editor at BuzzFeed. Nora, fans are pretty heartbroken over the cancellation of Warrior Nun, and rightfully so. Can you see any motivation for why Netflix might be canceling young adult and teen-focused projects more often now?
I think it's probably a lot of investment wise on Netflix. They have, and not just Netflix, like streamers in general. I think there's a lot of looking, like even with HBO Max these days, like looking at, what's worth the money, what's worth the time. And I think sadly, a lot of times those teen and young adult and even children's programming kind of fall by the wayside because they don't reach as large of a group as another show could, especially with the adult demographic. It might take them a little while to find those kind of shows, and whether it's I think people look at teen and children programming as maybe not worth their time a lot of times, so it takes a little while. And the way Netflix operates, you really have to watch a new show in the first couple weeks of it dropping, and I think we saw that with, like, on Netflix specifically, like The Babysitter's Club, Julie and the Phantoms. Those were a lot of shows that had very rabid fan bases, but unfortunately people just weren't finding them. Or I've seen people point out, like, if your child watches that show, or you have like a 12-year-old that watches that show, they may not sit down in the first weekend and they might, find it like a month or so after. So the Netflix in like way of looking at, how many views a certain show is getting and that kind of thing, I don't think lends itself to, that kind of watching.
What does Warrior Nun's cancellation say about Netflix's commitment to female-led shows and shows that center woman-loving woman relationships, especially considering this isn't the first show of its kind to be canceled in this way?
I think it's heartbreaking, because, earlier this year, we also lost First Kill, which is another, woman-loving woman show centered on, LGBTQ stories. And not to say Netflix doesn't have those type of shows, but I think specifically we've lost a lot of, women loving women stories. And, it's sad when the Warrior Nun cancellation came through. I wasn't surprised, which is like so sad that we've hit that point of, like, some of my favorite shows I know are highly likely not going to get renewed. And I know a lot of fans feel that way, like you're living in this limbo. And I think it's just like another blow to a community that's like already looking for stories to see themselves represented on screen. Especially with Warrior Nun, it was also a very diverse show, with not a lot of that representation is on screen in general. So I think it was kind of a double-edged sword in that way of you're losing an LGBTQ show and you're also losing actors who are playing characters that you identify with and you might not have seen yourself on screen otherwise. So I think it's another like very sad thing, especially for a group of fans that already feel like a lot of their shows and shows that represent them are getting canceled left and right.
Thank you so much for joining us, Nora.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.